Speaker Pelosi, you're I think, uniquely positioned to comment on this phenomenon that I've been wondering about during the Trump years. Watching the collapse of the male ego in that institution where you started as a freshman member of the House, you were surrounded all day in a culture controlled by the male ego, these very powerful committee chairmen who, for ego reasons and other reasons, but definitely for ego reasons, would fight any slight incursion into their jurisdiction, or there was all sorts of jealousies involved that you know about, that I know about, in the House, in the Senate. And we could see that male ego energy running wild around the place, most of the time in an unproductive, negative way that got in the way of progress. And so it has astonished me. It has astonished me that among, and I mean this as a male ego issue, that among Republican men in the Senate and in the House, male ego somehow disappeared. And I don't think social psychology has ever seen a phenomenon like this before in the history of the study of male ego.
Well, as I said, we don't agonize, we organize. I don't agonize over their mostly insecurities, as you describe it. But understand this. This guy, as a former president, he is a master of projection. Everything he says about somebody else, whether it's a judge in the courtroom, a witness, a juror, a member of Congress, a woman, an opponent in an election, everything he says is a projection of his own shortcomings. Crooked this person, he's crooked. Lazy this person, he's lazy. Name any subject. Any subject that you can name. Wacky this person. He knows he's wacky. He knows he's an imposter. So if we're going to do psychoanalysis of him, I think we have to have him in person in front of some healthcare professionals. But I do wish there would be an intervention from his family, assuming they love him beyond resources, assuming that they love him, that they would intervene, that the Republican Party would have an intervention. They have become a cult to a thug. And that is really a tragedy for the grand old party and what they were. So I really then going into insecurities, really, the insecurities that I'm concerned about are of some of the voters out there who fall for his line. But I'm here tonight to say to you, on this day when he tried to return to the scene of the crime, he didn't dare come to the Capitol, as he didn't dare come to the Capitol on January 6th. But we cannot let this be whitewashed. This is a disservice to the vision of our founders for a democracy, the sacrifice of our men and women in uniform who have fought for our freedom that he wants to dismantle, and the aspirations of our children to live in this great country with respect for the institutions and concern about their future. He just doesn't care. But let us forget about him. Let's just talk about unifying the country. Putting forth what Joe Biden did with the Democrats in the Congress, House, and Senate. We had the first bill that we had right away, the rescue package, shots in arms, money in pockets, people back to work, children safely in schools. A child tax credit taking half the children in poverty out of poverty. The bipartisan infrastructure bill. We had 13 Republicans, but that's bipartisan in the House, more in the Senate, I think. But bipartisan bill, creating jobs, the IRA, saving the planet, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, the PACT Act to protect our veterans who may have been exposed to burn pits, the CHIPS and Science Act to make us preeminent in the world and independent for the factors of production that we need to be preeminent in the world. And that isn't any reason to vote for us. We're not saying we deserve it. We're saying we've proven we can get the job done instead of one bill for the richest people in the country. Joe Biden was president under his presidency and our infusion of resources into the economy, 15 million jobs. What's his name? The worst job record since Herbert Hoover. The worst job record since Herbert Hoover. Lowest unemployment for like 40 straight months low. Inflation coming down. And when people talk about cost of living, that's a legitimate concern. But we're preeminent in the world in taking down inflation. And what we have also done, while I'm concerned about the cost of groceries, as anybody would be for families, but think about how we've reduced the cost of medicine, of health care, reduced the cost of prescription drugs. In our IRA bill, if you're a senior on Medicare and you need insulin, before us it was $500 to $600 a month for seniors. Under Joe Biden and the IRA legislation, it's $35 a month, $500, $600 a month, $35. So when we talk about the cost of living, we have to talk about the cost of health care as part of that. So again, it's about the kitchen table, the cost of living, women's right to choose, which is an economic issue, as well as a democracy issue. So let's just talk about what is at stake for people in the election, because they don't care. They do not care. They care about the 1%. They don't care about your kitchen table issues. And again, always projecting his own shortcomings onto other people.
Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, thank you very much for sharing your perspective on what's at stake in this election and in the way we govern. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
And thank you for your attention to January 6th. We cannot let them pull the wool over the American people's eyes. Our democracy is at stake.